Hey horror fiends, this is Dr. Chris with Dread Central's YouTube page, going over another character from the media that's in comics, and this time I thought in the spirit of Halloween, as these characters are always affiliated with Halloween every year, and it's a movie everyone watches around the Halloween season, Ghostbusters, who's had a long and then kind of a weird career in the comic book industry. When the original Ghostbuster movie came out in 1984, there was no Ghostbuster comic book to pick up where it left off. What we did have was the real Ghostbuster animated series, which had their own comic books. Now Comics and Marvel Comics published the rights to the property. Now Comics had the North American publication, and Marvel UK had the European imprint, which would reprint original stories as well as their own. The first volume had 28 issues, and there were 21 issues in the Marvel UK reprint book. Now also, unfortunately, gave a 19-issue series to Slimer, which, if you were never a fan of Slimer in the real Ghostbusters, or the Slimer short, very kid-friendly cartoons, then I would probably pass on that as well. IDW has since reprinted the real Ghostbusters in an omnibus, so you can check them out there. They're more or less very soft, friendly kids stories. Nothing really great or significant stands out. The cover art was usually the best. The insides were okay, but I always thought the artwork was a bit sloppy at times. The nice thing about the UK books is they had bios on the ghosts that would appear in the comic books. Titan's Books in 2006 reprinted the Marvel UK Ghostbusters series, and Welsh Publishing printed 7 magazines from 1989 to 1991, which were reprints of the Now and Marvel UK Ghostbusters series. Ghostbusters lay dormant for quite some time. We had the Extreme Ghostbusters cartoon series, but they didn't have a comic book tie-in until 2004. We had 88 MPH Studios, which were publishing a Ghostbusters story, which retconned the Ghostbusters to the 2000s, so they didn't take place in 1980s anymore, in a 4-issue miniseries called Legion. Unfortunately, due to financial troubles that the studio suffered, the book was heavily delayed and eventually reprinted in a trade paperback, which is extremely hard to find. There was a 0-issue and then the 4-issue miniseries. There had been plans for an ongoing monthly. There had been plans for an ongoing monthly to tie into the 20th anniversary of Ghostbusters, and we got some Ghostbuster monthly image covers from Diamond Distributors, but we never actually got the comic book. Due to varying problems, the publisher and financer, Sebastian Calvat, announced the ongoing series was unfortunately indefinitely on hold. Ghostbusters remained quiet again for 4 more years. Ghostbusters lay quiet until Tokyo Pop published a black and white manga called Ghostbusted, which comprised 6 mini-stories. They're all very manga-verse style Ghostbuster stories and kind of cute to check out, but again, nothing that really stands out. In 2008, IDW, who had been publishing 30 Days of Night, The Transformers, G.I. Joe, and more, picked up the rights to Ghostbusters and began publishing it with an ongoing series in 2011. This is where the Ghostbuster comic books really picked up and were very successful. They started out with the other side, but it wasn't until the ongoing Ghostbusters series where the series really caught its steam. Ghostbusters had quite a few crossovers with a lot of properties from IDW, which I really enjoyed, such as Infestation, in which a zombie plague infects G.I. Joe, Star Trek, Transformers, and Ghostbusters. It's like a cross-dimensional zombie virus. The Mars Attacks the Real Ghostbusters, in which the Topps card Mars Attack characters ended up fighting the real Ghostbusters from the cartoon series. There was the X-Files conspiracy, in which the lone gunmen are trying to track down elements of a bomb, including energon, ectoplasm, and mutagen, and they run into Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then they have to go to New York and they find the Ghostbusters, and they need a sample of ectoplasm as part of this. They need a sample of ectoplasm in order to defuse this bomb, which could destroy everything. They even encounter the Crow in that miniseries. One of the most offbeat, most unusual crossovers the Ghostbusters have encountered from IDW is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ghostbusters. Now, you think just because they're both in New York, maybe the Turtles have been living in the sewers while the Ghostbusters are operating above, trying to catch ghosts. But it's one of those cross-dimensional tales, just like they did with Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I highly recommend checking out. It's a lot of fun. Eric Burnham and was the writer on it. The one fans had really been waiting for is Ghostbusters Get Real, where the IDW Ghostbusters, which follow the movie plotline from Ghostbusters 1 and 2, and is a more serious tone of the book, meet the real Ghostbuster cartoon characters. They did a month of deviations in IDW, kind of what-if Marvel-style stories, in which the Ghostbusters failed to defeat Gozer, and New York was in shambles. They also did them for Transformers and G.I. Joe. The art by Dan Showing on Ghostbusters has been fantastic, and he's really captured the essence of what we got from the movies. At one point, the Ghostbusters were all believed to be dead, and Janine had to recruit brand new Ghostbusters, one of which was Carly from the Extreme Ghostbuster cartoon series, who we hadn't seen in any form other than that cartoon, and fans really loved ongoing series with the new Ghostbusters. I kind of wish that the Ghostbuster remake film, which doesn't have any comic books currently coming out about that universe, had been the IDW characters that they did with Janine, Kylie Griffin, Special Agent Melanie Ortiz. Kylie was the occult manager for Ray's occult bookstore. I thought that was a great little tie-in to the occult bookstore that Ray had in Ghostbusters 2. Pagan was Kylie's cat, so he became kind of like the pet of the series. Special Agent Melanie Ortiz was the FBI agent assigned to be the liaison between the FBI and the Ghostbusters, which she currently acts as right now, but she helped fill in. And then Ron Alexander, who founded the Ghost Smashers, which were kind of like the Ghost Facers from Supernatural, a bunch of bumbling, idiotic Ghostbusters that weren't really up to snuff. He got arrested, but Janine got him out of jail in order to help found the new Ghostbusters. Eventually, Ray, Peter, Winston, and Egon returned, and they currently have set up the Ghostbusters International, which is IDW's currently ongoing series. The original treatment for Ghostbusters by Dan Aykroyd had the Ghostbusters all over the place. They weren't just confined to New York. They were Ghostbusters in outer space too, I believe, and there were Ghostbusters in other countries. So Ghostbusters was a big franchise, but the scope of the script was so big, unfortunately they weren't able to do that, and we got the movie we got. Now, apparently there's a Ghostbuster cartoon series coming out that's going to be tied into the new movie, but other than that, I don't have many other details. All the books by IDW are currently in trade paperback. Recommend checking them out. Want some great Ghostbuster stories? Go to your local comic book store, buy some Ghostbuster comics. You won't be disappointed. I think they're some of the best written since the animated series. Thanks everyone for checking out this video. A great source of Ghostbuster information I also recommend. Tobin's Spirit Guide just came out. It is a fantastic guide to all the sorts of different ghosts that have appeared in Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, the video game, the animated series, as well as the comic book series. So if you ever wanted to know a little bit more information about some of the ghosts that you see in the comics or the cartoon, pick up Tobin's Spirit Guide. It's a great resource if you're a Ghostbuster fan. Thanks everyone. Check out the rest of the videos here at Dread Central, as well as my channel Radio of Horror, and have a happy Halloween.